Hey guys, it's me, Jenna. Here to share something with you that has been transformative for me this week and is going to continue being transformative for the rest of my life. So I don't know about you, but for me, I can be really hard on myself. I can replay situations in my head over and over again. And I can go through some deep, deep, deep shame spirals. And I can take responsibility for things that are actually not my responsibility. And I can judge myself so hard for things that I would not even dream of judging another person for. That's me. And so, for certain things that I've been through in the last year and a half, the end of my marriage, for example, I was in counseling and I was sharing a lot of things with my therapist about like, well, I should have done this and this, I did wrong and this I'm not going to tell you all the personal things about my marriage, but there was a lot in my marriage that I can look back on and I have questions or shame or like if I had done this differently, would it have been a different outcome in my marriage? Okay, if I had stood up against this thing, would it have changed earlier in my marriage? If I had fought harder for this, would it have whatever? And I carry all this responsibility. And yes, I did make mistakes in my marriage. I will 100% admit to that and own that. And also, I did try my best in my marriage. And so as I'm telling my counselor all these things, she stops me. She's like, Jenna, I hear you accusing yourself of so many things. She goes, you know what I hear the Lord saying? I hear him saying, well done. You did your best. I didn't want this to happen in your life. I didn't make these things happen in your life, but well done. The choices that you made were the best ones you could at the time. And as she said this, I just broke down crying because I had shame spiraled so far and was carrying all this weight and this responsibility and all of these questions because I never intended to get married and ever have the option of getting divorced. That was not an option for me until it was. And so I carried a lot of responsibility and a lot of shame. And so what I did this week, and this is what I want to share with you guys as a way to train your brain to think differently, because my brain is very trained to accuse me and to carry shame and to feel bad and to take responsibility for everything. And so rather than walk in shame my life, I'm retraining my brain as I'm having these thoughts to hear the Lord saying, well done. And so literally one thing that I did is I took my journal and I wrote down a bunch of stuff that I hear as an accusation in my brain, but I didn't write it as a bad thing. I just wrote things as a statement. Okay. And just as a fact, like this is what I did and this is why. And normally, even as I was writing it, I would feel negative emotion around these things that I did and why I did them. But afterwards, I took a big old Post-it note and I wrote, let's see, can you read it? It says, well done on it. Hold on, let's see. Can you read it there? Yeah. It says, well done. And I put it right on top of all the things that I am hearing as accusation. And I have another page of accusations that I wrote, well done. And I put Post-its on my mirror that say, well done. So I'm training my brain as I'm hearing an accusation, like, well, I don't want to share my accusations with you because it will tell you more about my marriage than you need to know. But the point being is, let's say that I ate ice cream every night and that drove him nuts. This isn't a real example, but let's say I did. And let's say in my head, I'm thinking, man, I shouldn't have ate ice cream every night because that frustrated him and that led to the end of my marriage. And so I should have, or a better example would be like, I knew that eating ice cream every day would drive him nuts. So I stopped eating ice cream. But what if I had stood up to him and said, I need to eat ice cream because ice cream brings me so much joy that I want to eat ice cream every day. Like, would that have changed things? Would I have been more of myself in my marriage and less frustrated and resentful? Like, I should have stood up for him. I shouldn't have stopped eating ice cream just because he didn't want me to eat ice cream. But the Lord says, well done, because in that moment, I made my best choice that I could. And I chose to be self-sacrificing and to stop eating ice cream because I knew that that would bring peace in my marriage to a degree. Now, if you do that again and again and again, it's going to build resentment and it's going to build hurt. And I know that it happened on both sides. I'm not saying that I was perfect in my marriage and he wasn't. I made a lot of mistakes. But what I don't need to do is carry shame for them for the rest of my life. And I can look at them now with the Lord and see that, like, I truly was trying my best. I truly was putting in a lot of effort, and I don't need to be ashamed anymore. I can say, well done about my marriage. I don't even have to look at my marriage as a failure. I can look at it as a learning experience, that whatever happened in that marriage has prepared me for the rest of my life. Whether I'll ever get married again or date again or do any of that, I don't know. But what I do know is that I can learn about communication. I can learn about sacrifice. I can learn about bringing myself fully to the table. I can learn a lot that I can carry into my future with me. And one of the things that I don't have to carry is shame. And so I literally have Post-its all over that say well done on them so that I can train my brain, because when your brain is trained to think a certain way all the time, it just easily goes there. And so I am literally having to take captive my thoughts. And as I'm beginning down a shame spiral, whether it's specifically about my marriage or shame about something else, I am stopping my brain and I am saying, well done. I'm literally saying it out loud and meditating on that in my brain. And I'm rephrasing sentences that I would normally use as accusation. And I am making them empowered sentences that have the backing of the Lord saying, well done, you're doing your best. Because I know my heart's intent, and my heart's intent is to do my best in all things and to serve the Lord in all things and to bring peace into all things. So my advice for you would be, if you shame spiral like me, if you're really hard on yourself like me, write well done and put it somewhere and force yourself to reframe your brain and your thinking and your wiring for some of these things. Write them out as like a sentence and then write well done over it and force yourself to think a little bit differently. Because the more you accept yourself, the more you let go of the past, the more you just learn from the past and move forward, the more freedom you're going to have and the more clarity you're going to have in your next steps and who you are and what you want from life. So comment below, let me know your thoughts on this, and if you have a trick to retrain your brain as well, or a tool is a better word, to retrain your brain from thinking shame spiral thoughts to interrupting those thoughts, taking them captive, and actually believing truth about yourself.